Hello everyone, once again in kite land out there. Welcome to Fortuna Found Tutorials once again. Happy to be back with you on this occasion. We're going to, on this segment, we're going to cover lots and lots and lots of things, things that you need to have to prepare for your construction in general. Things that I advise that you have already purchased or collected that will make things easier for you in the future and in the present as you build. And there's some very basic things that are going to come into play, in particular if you adapt the techniques that I use, the borders that I've described in previous videos, etc. But this particular segment we're going to cover finishing work. You have finished a sail, you have boarded it already the way we have described in some of the past videos. Whether you fold edges or you use flat fell seams or you use my techniques as I've showed earlier of bordering with 1-inch ripstop tape, whichever method, you still have to finish the kite, which means that you have to attach fittings, strappings, tensioning devices, bow lines, all that sort of stuff. So this segment is what we're going to cover. You know, all the parts that I use, and some of it I make. We're going to try and do a video also on how you can use your drill press to make end caps and sliders. I'm going to begin with insignia tape. I get this stuff from Challenge Fabrics in Los Angeles, and it comes in big bulk like this. I buy my fabrics, my quality fabrics, direct from them, as well as I buy from Texlon. There you can buy not only insignia tape, but you can also buy Dacron, you can buy ripstop nylon, you can buy thread, the Daybond thread. The Daybond 30 thread that I use for my sewing comes from there. So I buy all these things direct. Some of my sources, some of my closest sources for some of these materials are no longer in the business of notions, just strictly parts, and we'll get to that a little bit later in the video. Double seam tape, very much a part of it. You can get this also from Challenge, or you can get it from Fly Market kite parts from Phil Roeder as well. Some of you are aware of that, but you can easily find him online. And he's another source to provide you with fabric, spars, notions such as strappings, grow grains, Dacrons in 1-inch. I buy Dacron in 1-inch, which I use a lot, but I also buy it in black in 1-inch. And in 4-inch and 6-inch sometimes, so I can cut bigger parts like reinforcements such as this for corners. And many different uses there. Grow grain, you can get this from the local fabric store. Comes in different brands, but Joann's Fabric carries these, and they come in 1/4-inch, 3/8, so a wide variety of different tapes that I use for strappings in corners, such as this. This was done here with cording and then sewn to the fabric, but I'm going to show you how to do both as we move along. This here is nothing but floss, dental floss, and we use this for running line through sliders, to be able to guide them through the holes in a slider, and we'll show you that process. And we'll talk about the Indian bead also, which is something that I came and stumbled on many years ago and started using that, and it was published in Kite Line. So that's something that I sort of not invented but stumbled across, and it's used across the world now because it's a ready-made part and all you have to do is drill it. We'll get to that part. Beads of different types. If you're going to use the Scott Spencer system, I will show you also how to do that. Many of you already know, but beginning and intermediate folks may not actually know the bead system of tensioning. It's quite clever. And a gentleman by a dearly departed friend who's no longer with us invented that system many years. His name is Scott Spencer. Some of you may recognize the name. And I still use that system sometimes, and I've developed my own ways of tensioning spars, and so all a build-up from inspiration from other folks, which I'm hoping you do the same in your construction. I have a whole series of fittings in here on the table, both from 3D printing to shelf parts. For instance, these end caps that come in many different sizes. These come from Goodwin's Composites or Goodwin's Parts. Paul DeBacher usually takes care of my account. Very good friend. He handles all the technical aspects of stuff, and it's always great conversation because if I'm not sure of something, he knows exactly what I'm talking about most of the times. That's why I like dealing with him. Here's a bit larger end cap. These all come from there, and it's almost an end cap, but also a knock. It's got a slot running through the side that you can run cording through. These are shelf parts that work very well, but through the years I've also made my own. Here's a sample of a part that's made. A sample of a part that's made on the drill press. Okay. Once again, a better view of the factory made parts. These are molded parts. You can see different sizes of these end caps. Here's a little bit bigger one. I made this one. This was done on the drill press. So the hole for the spar and the hole for the cord. These clamps. What do we use these clamps for? These are electric clamps. And I have found many uses for these. And we're going to show you how these work next. And this is also a shelf part. They're available through different outlets that sell electrical parts like wiring and tools and cables. Galco Electric. You can look them up online. Galco, Galco Electric will carry these, and there are several other sources. McMaster Carr has plants all over the country. One of the largest warehouses in the world that carries so many things that kite flyers use. What? Have some information there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay. So, McMaster Carr. You can call them. They will send you a physical catalog, or you can look them up online and use their online catalog, which is quite sufficient. Got a lot of information in there. Nylon bolts. Pretty much all the bolts that I use here to join these parts together come from there. From them also, I get my ABS plastic rods that look something like this. You know, and of course I cut these, and I got this in many sizes to make sliders, to make end caps, basically, you know. This is ABS. They also have Delrin. Delrin is a little harder to cut, but you get a very clean part. But it's heavier also. So ABS drills very well. If you buy it in white or in a clear, you can dye it black with Rit dye, or you can just simply buy it black. I always buy black, and I've got this in various different sizes. I can make fairly large end caps with this material. I don't have a large drill press with a huge chuck, so I can only go up to a certain size. So again, for instance, I showed you a larger size. Here it is in a smaller size. This is typically the size that I use for making sliders, bowline sliders. Okay. Here's a finished one. Here's a finished one in a bit larger size. And so I'll describe for you what we've done here in just a second. Let's go back to the electric clamps. Okay, these come in 1/4 inch, 5/8, little tiny 1/4 inch ones, and I've used them in various different kites depending on what I'm doing and the size and the area of the kite that I need. Sometimes there's several of these in the kite combined with several larger ones. But one of the things that's most significant with these parts is that you can join two together with nylon bolts or with a rivet. Flat rivets will join these very nicely. You have a swivel here going on. So the classic example would be again on this glider kite. So here we have a complete swivel that can be moved around like that. There's another rod that goes in here, and then of course you got, you know, a complete T. A T fitting can be made out of that. You can change the angles, you know. A rod going this way, let's say you have a whisker coming out of there at that angle, and you can adjust this any way you want by putting these two parts together. And you can put them together opposing or inside one another. In other words, back to back like that, or inside to inside, and then you end up with an offset depending on the spacing that is going to be used for, or equal. So they're at the same level. That strictly depends on the usage or where you're going to use it. That's also parallel. This is opposing. It's here, and then if you need that offset. So it's up to you, depending on the work, how you join these together, and then you have the swivel. You can, with these, on a spine of a kite, if you don't have a dihedral fitting, let's say ready-made, you can join a pair of these together, and then you can come in from the opposite side up here with another swivel of two of them put together, and then just move this one over, and now you have this. You will have a complete right angle. And so these two will end up parallel. Let me see, let me open this up here a little bit. So we have this going on. And of course these are smaller, these are much bigger, but if I put this up here, this is going to end up, this will end up parallel to that. So if I can, let's see if I got something a little bit larger to demonstrate that with. But no, anyway, it's the same thing. So you end up with this end, you know, with these two things, you know, these two clamps facing one another, and you end up with an automatic dihedral. It swivels on the spine. So you can run a complete dihedral on your spine with these if you don't have already a fixed dihedral. I also have some dihedrals that are 3D printed, you know, we'll show you those as well. So that's the beauty of these clamps. I have used these clamps also for a pocket. Instead of using an end cap at the end, they're in this kite, but they're in this kite. So what's going on here is we have taken this part. It's joined to the kite with a nylon bolt, And the beauty of this, that if I drill a hole on this side, I can put the spar into that, so it's a pocket. And it stays very secure because it's resting against the seam of this where it joins together. But also, it makes a perfect receptacle for my bowline. As you can see, I've been able to attach my bowline to this as well. So this system works really good. It's almost as good as a 3D part, a 3D pocket, which we'll get into a little later in the video.